Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry Smooth. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And this video right here is about how to deal with frustration. And what is frustration, actually? Now, here's the thing. Y'all know I always like to get spiritual. Let's get spiritual. Spiritual. Oh, let's get spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Still got to do that motherfucking remix. But like I said, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about frustration, you need to know what the shit is. Because it's almost like you built the esoteric wall that you just keep running into in the motherfucking spiritual realm. And we got psychologists and things of that nature that try to explain it in the third dimensional terms. But they don't know where it come from. They don't know how the substance get created. They just know after it's already a light. AKA it's already information. AKA it's already a spirit and a body down here playing out characteristics of being mentally unstable or being in a circumstance or situation of being frustrated. So keep that in mind. Now, when we talk about being mentally unstable, right, this comes from a rooted cause of an upbringing and things of that nature. When you have built a lot of securities in the areas where you was unsure and you was indecisive, aka due to your upbringing, right? Let's say being mentally unstable has nothing to do with mental illness. So keep that in mind also. And we all share possibilities of being mentally unstable. But before we get into frustration, I want to break this down, right? Because look, check this out. Being mentally unstable and things of that nature is like when things that you have built a mental construct around or feelings and emotions around start to show you otherwise, start to show you different things, right? So due to an upbringing, right? Due to your upbringing, you may have developed certain ideas and feelings and emotions due to your environment, who raised you, and your siblings, and your circumstances, your situation, right? And for the most part, you built certain ideas and feelings around these things. Then when you start to act these things out in the world, the moment these things show you otherwise, and have you questioning your own individuality and start making you indecisive should you act in certain ways or not, and how to react and respond to the external world, right? This start to build mental instabilities or mental unstableness to the point that a person could become mentally unstable because this just a person that's very indecisive or very unsure about their individuality and how to express or respond themselves to the external world. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it starts to develop. And depending on the percentage level, how far you dive deep into that, right? For lack of words, let's say the best example. If you're very deep into that on a percentage level, an example in your life would be like those family members that you may have that have lost all reality, right? And for the most part, if they was to wither off and die, you would have to go find them somewhere. So it's like that kind of circumstance if you was that low on the scale. But we all share possibilities of being mentally unstable. That's like the whole world. And the main thing we have to do is go real deep and clear away all those areas that we have built security. Yeah, like I said, you have to go and clear away all those things that you built security off of based upon your life and based upon, because when we step into unsafe territory, when we step into situations that make us feel like we ain't got no sense of security, we got to come up with our own thought forms and feelings and emotions, and there's no one there as a form and example, then we built an idea. We built a shield. We built a feeling and emotion. But a lot of times, that's a sense of an ego. That's a sense of a phoenix. That's a sense of security in order for your soft spot not to get hit. And a lot of times, a lot of things that we are experiencing, we're developing defense systems in the wrong spaces. So our defense system be negative. The things we be responding and looking at as far as opposing to us may not be opposing to us at all. You know what I'm saying? So we have to keep that in mind also. And we start to develop a whole bunch of traumas in our lives. But when we're getting into having frustration, this is when you as a spirit is in a space that you ain't supposed to be in, and you develop so many chakras there, so many feelings and emotions and thought forms that it's hard for you to get out of that space because you develop so many responsibilities. You feel like you're responsible to that position. You're responsible to that space in the esoteric realm. So all that light, all those light forms, that masculine and feminine, those thoughts and feelings and emotions is weighing you down within that space, and it's starting to build frustration, aka like you running into a wall or you stuck between a rock and a hard place and things of that nature. So here's the thing. Anytime you're experiencing a form of frustration, you need to drop everything that you're doing in that frequency vibration when you're experiencing that as a spirit. You need to keep that in mind. And here's the thing, because society is fucked up. Society places jobs here for you, places school tests for you, places certain circumstances and things out here for you to the point that you have to kind of like put yourself into a circumstance where you're in that vibration. And you can't stop until you actually finish. You see what I'm saying? Like, you might get frustrated because you don't know certain things. So you might got to ask the manager. Or if you're into school, you might got to study a lot more. Or if you're into business, you might got to look at more of your curriculum and things of that nature. Or if you're into religion, you're a theologian, you might got to go do more research and learn more from Peter and Paul and shit like that. But whatever the circumstance or situation it is, right? These things are placed in society based upon the Galactic Federation of Light, and in order for you to maintain that position or that job, a lot of times you got to suffer with frustration. And a lot of times, whatever that you're doing, you probably have a large percentage of your time placed in whatever you're doing. AKA, if you got a job or if you got to go to school or whatever that you're doing, your relationships, these things take a large amount of your time. A big percentage level of your time. And if these things are backed and supported by the energy signature of frustration, but you can't even get out of these situations without going through the frustration, then you need to know that you're in a fucked up circumstance. Because anytime you are experiencing the frustration energy, you need to get out of that energy as soon as possible. And you can't just get up and walk away from your job when you at work. You can't just get up and walk away from your relationship if y'all arguing. You can't just get up and walk away from your school test if you're in the middle of that in class. So you see what I'm saying? So when we talk about frustration and things of that nature, this is important for your spiritual nature. You need to always be in some type of situation where the moment you start to experience frustration, you take your motherfucking self out of that circumstance as soon as possible. Because 9 times out of 10, it's like you might be lost into an outcome, right? A lot of times we create a bunch of spaceships, right? And a lot of times people don't understand why I say spaceship. A spaceship. Now, we're in space. Whether you want to think scientifically and space out there, but spirit is space. Space is everywhere. It's space between me and you. Now, a ship is like light. Something that can go through space. So for the most part, if you're in a ship, when you create a mentality, that's a ship. And it can travel through the astral realm. It can travel through space. So for the most part, that's what we're trying to talk about when we say spaceship. Man, him, father. You know what I'm saying? When you hear people say things like, and Jesus came as man, it's trying to say light. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that substance is, came as light. So Jesus is another word as light. He is the light. It's trying to tell you he is the light. Don't get lost into turning Starman into a man and thinking it's saying, oh, it's saying a man is the light. No, it's saying he is the light. It's saying the term he means light. That's what it's telling you. So when you hear things like farther, that's the further light. The further away light. It used to be Aldebaran. Now we call it other things, the further away light and shit like that. Series and all that kind of shit. But for the most part, so when you hear things like Heavenly Father, right? It's saying Heavenly Light. So Heavenly Father, the light in the sky. The heavens is in the sky, right? And Father, the light. Heavenly Father, the light in the sky. The sky light. You know what I'm saying? That's what it actually means. So, don't get it. Every time I go live, I forget to delete all the motherfucking videos that I just do regularly. But look, like I said, don't get it fucked up. You might be lost into a certain outcome. AKA, right, you create a spaceship, a mentality, and you jump into it as a spirit. And anytime you fly or astral travel into a space that you're not in physically yet, right, this is what we call visualizing. You start to imagine, right? So you start to imagine certain a persona, a circumstance, a situation, an image. And if you cling on to that image to the point that you want to see things play out in real life like that, right? And for the most part, when you don't see things playing out like that in real life, it plays out as frustration. Because in some magnitude, you're trying to force the external world to play out into this imagination. AKA, when you created that spaceship and went into a space that you're not physically in yet. So you just imagine it. And when your imagination is not partaken externally, is via people, places, and things in your life, right? Then you start to act in ways to modify these people, places, and things so it could look like wherever you're at in the astral realm. You know what I'm saying? That space that you're at that haven't necessarily manifested yet. So for the most part, that's what builds frustration. You trying to force that outcome, and that outcome may not necessarily play out in that way. That's why when you meditate, and it's important not to ponder. It's important to clear your mind. So when you go into meditating and then you you go in and receive a certain mentality that resonate with you, that goes into your solar system, and you want to make this your own idea, your own feeling and emotion, right? Don't ponder on visualizing it. Don't ponder on imagining it. Just ponder on the feeling and the vibration as if it was already accomplished, or how it would feel, or just the feeling of that presence in general. And let images come and go, you know what I'm saying? And let all these images come as just pictures. And once they move through as motion pictures, you can smile at all of them. You know what I'm saying? But not hold on to one of them. Because once you hold on to one of them, that's you starting to ponder. And then now you're going to start slowly but surely build resistance in your life. And then once you get out of that meditative state, you're going to start manifesting that once you start to interact into the environment, people, places, and things. And you're going to manifest a resistance, aka things not playing out in that one vision that you was holding on to, that one pick you was holding on to. And then it's going to make you feel like you're not doing something right, aka start to physically act in certain ways to make that image play out. And then that's going to build frustration, aka the trial and tribulation that you start to manifest for yourself to make that occur. When you're meditating, right, you're not supposed to ponder. You're supposed to be free and let these thoughts come and go, because one of these thoughts can have a spirit in them that possess you and things of that nature. So be careful, right? So whatever frequency vibration that you in, you want to be free and smile and be light of all these thoughts, but not cling on one of the images, because you want to know deep down intuitively, as a spirit, that that feeling and emotion can come to you in any kind of modification, through any kind of person, place, or thing. And the moment you get kinked on one person, one place, one thing, one image of how this feeling and emotion could play out, then you're going to build the resistance, aka the opposite feeling. But the moment you kind of just let go and be free and just absorb yourself in all to feelings and not really be considering of the images and things. Now, images is going to come to your head. But if you're not really concerned about it, and the images that do come, you're taking them for what they worth, but you're leaving them like a grain of salt. You see what I'm saying? And therefore, once you get out of that meditative state, then you're open for all possibilities, and you open to see all possibilities. Therefore, if something was to present itself to you, you'll have more of a clear mentality, because you develop that clear substance. Everything is a substance, even clarity. So when you go into meditating, without pondering on something, being free and just pondering on the feeling and emotion, not pondering on the images, that how that feeling and emotion could come. Just pondering on the feeling and emotion and being open to the world of allowing the universe and God to bring that feeling and emotion to you in any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? In a way that you're not even expecting. But you might not be open to that if you're blinded into one of those lights, one of those images, if you went into meditation pondering. You see what I'm saying? So that's developing pondering substance. If you develop clarity substance, then when you get up and start to interact with the world, your circumstances and situations and how you receive, you're going to receive with more clarity, because you got that clarity substance. You got them clarity glasses on now. So you're going to receive more clarity, aka be open to more possibilities of knowing when things could be in your favor, even if it don't look like it's in your favor at hand. You know what I'm saying? You'll start to be more spiritually inclined into understanding what circumstance that you're going through and what's needed and what's not needed, other than letting the world take over your frequency vibrations and you getting washed up under the current. So, you know, frustrations could come into many different multitudes based upon what spiritual level that we on. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to break it down through meditation. Think about it, if you a person that's not into spirituality and you just have a lot of responsibilities in your life in some way, shape, or form, right? Like I said, always be in a circumstance where the moment you start to experience that frustration, you can take yourself right out of that circumstance and have a little breather. Now, anytime you're wrapped and mingle into something that you can't do that, then you need to know that this is something that you need to develop more spirituality in, so you can have spiritual strength within these scenarios, so you don't get frustrated and you so spiritually strong, because you go to the spiritual Planet Fitness and you do all your cardios and shit like that, that you so spiritually and fit that these situations no longer frustrate you. You have developed so much spiritual strength that this is like light work. It ain't too heavy for you. It's light work in the esoteric realm. So you need to know that, you know what I'm saying? And it might be people that could be in your life that can help you with that. It might be places that you could go to in your life. It might be things that you could own in your life, or just a spiritual sense that you could have within yourself to know that this is a circumstance that you are experiencing at the moment. And the better you know how to change your frequency vibration of how to deal with this circumstance, Then for the most part, that's the universe. That's you showing the universe and God that you want to be in another position, and you have mastered that position, because that position no longer fuck up your frequency vibrations and cause you to create more resistance and cause you to feel like that you are mentally unstable, or cause you to feel like you're in that circumstance all alone in some way, shape, or form, right? You need to know that you're putting yourself into a space where you're learning how to get out of these motherfucking things, and therefore you're not going to be frustrated. Like you're not letting the external people, places, and things, circumstance, or situation make you feel spiritually damned. You're taking these things and creating your own feeling and thought about it, and then you're being a real spiritual creator right there. And if it's something that's in your favor, slowly but surely the universe and God is going to put you into that position. Now, depending on how deeply rooted you've been in whatever that you are in, that's how much it's going to take to get out of that. Like sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. You know what I'm saying? So, but the whole point is never give up. And I know that sounds cliche, but you know that's real. You just don't know what area of life to put that in to know how it's real. And I'm just breaking it down to you right now. So we broke down like that perspective, you know, too many responsibilities. We broke down the other perspective of frustrations, you being in a space that you ain't supposed to be in. You know what I'm saying? And you add too many mentalities and feelings and emotions there. You can either be in a relationship and build a lot of frustration, aka just for the relationship to uphold, you're doing more of the work than the partner. You know what I'm saying? So you got more of the luggage, you got more of the baggage, you got more of the circumstance, you got more of the thought forms and the feelings and emotions that you got to deal with, while your partner can sit on their ass and be light and not take half of the toll on what it means to be compromising in a motherfucking relationship. So what you need to understand, that you're going to be in a relationship that builds a lot of frustration. So at the same time, you know, to not be so frustrated within this relationship, sometimes the moment that you start to experience frustration, take yourself out of that scenario. And if you with a partner who don't understand that's what you're doing at the actual moment, then they're taking you for granted. And then you need to start making that an actual issue within a relationship. And if they're not willing to ease up a little bit on some of the load that you're carrying, then that's a toxic ass motherfucking relationship. So you need to keep that in mind. And it's so often we in relationships like that. And like I was speaking about at the beginning of the video, a lot of times we build security on things into the world that and make us build frustrations. Like for a lot of times, right, we might support more of the relationship than the person. We might be the ones with the job. We might be the ones with more hours with the kids. Or if you ain't got no kids, we might be the one spending more time trying to correlate the relationship mentally or emotionally than the other person, while the other person is like sitting and not taking consideration to certain things of that nature. You need to know that's a mental frustration right there, right? And if a person is taking you through a bunch of mental frustration, you need to know that this person is taking you for granted, and they're not appreciating what you're bringing to the table. They don't even see what you're bringing to the table. A lot of times you're in a relationship with a person who never come to the dinner table. They come in, take their plate, and go to the living room, and you're the only one at the table eating. So there's no kind of domestic issues being taken care of. There's no kind of conversations, right? You're eating at the kitchen table and they're eating in the goddamn living room. So then when you come into the living room, you got a motherfucking attitude, whether you're the male or the female. And then the person that's in the living room is not even going to want to be disturbed, because they want to eat while being entertained in some way, shape, or form. Now, what do I mean by this esoterically? What do I mean by this spiritually? This means that a lot of times you could be the person that's in the kitchen cooking all the goddamn food, aka you the one is working so hard to keep this relationship straight, and then this person don't even take appreciation to that, nor they're not even looking at the relationship like that. They're looking at it like you doing too much in some way, shape, or form, and you're creating problems, or you're worrying about nothing and things of that nature. That is esoterically, spiritually, y'all in a relationship, and you doing all the cooking at the kitchen table, and then this person come in the kitchen and just take their plate and then go into the living room. You know what I'm saying? AKA have you deal with all the bad dishes, have you deal with all the cooking and shit, while they just enjoy themselves and feel entertained and feel like that you're blocking their entertainment once you come into the living room and complain why the fuck they fucking up the living room and why they can't eat in the goddamn kitchen. You see what I'm saying? So shit get real spooky and crazy when you want to think about all ways that develop frustrations and things of that nature. And we all be in relationships that deal with frustrations. So you have to be very careful who you are in relationships with, who you deal with externally, and how many responsibilities that you're manifesting in your life based upon your goals and what you want to attain in your life. Because you might be trying to do things, but you might be trying to do them in a way that's not for you. So it's going to build frustration. Look, anytime you're doing something in a frequency vibration for your spirit, then it's always, you always succeed or reach the goal at the end of the rainbow with little to no effort. Anytime it takes too much effort and too much stress for you to accomplish whatever vision that you're trying to do, then that means that you're traveling in the wrong direction. You're either trying to do something the same way someone else did it, but that was their spiritual way to do it and it's not yours. So you have to go through a bunch of other asteroids and turbulence and astral travels and ups and downs and loops in order to get there. You know what I'm saying? You can't get there real fast. Or sometimes you're just frustrating yourself. You're trying to do a lot of things that you don't have to do. When if your monkey ass was just to sit back and sit down, take several seats and go back to the drawing board and relax and get in the frequency vibration and let the universe and God guide you based upon feelings and not what you see in front of you or how it should be done the way other people are doing it, then you'll be led into the direction of that you're supposed to go. And a lot of times that's scary for weak spirits here, because weak spirits here need examples. They need things from the flesh, the word, the definition, the devil in the details, to count on that the same thing gonna happen tomorrow, the routine and pattern. And if a spirit don't see that, a spirit won't believe in itself. It won't go off in faith. You know what I'm saying? See, that's why I don't like being too religious or atheist. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand, atheists don't even believe in the spirit. So that means they don't believe in themselves. They're lost into the light. That's why they're lost into trying to understand how light works in some way, shape, or form. And religious people, they're doing the same thing. It's just a religious way of trying to understand light. But they believe in the spirit. They just don't believe in their own spirit. They give all their spiritual power, aka faith, belief, and imagination, and they give all that creativity to another spirit and emit that spiritual world in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension and just keep creating purgatory for themselves. So for the most part, a religious person believe in another spirit, and the atheists don't believe in no spirit, so they don't believe in themselves. You know what I'm saying? So religious spirits believe in other spirits, and religious atheists don't believe in themselves. So for the most part, you need to understand your own individuality, your own spiritual nature, and therefore that's how you get a clean of knowledge, knowing, saying no to both polar shifts. You know what I'm saying? Don't follow no legion, but also don't be in a la-la land and lostness. That's atheist. La-la land and lostness, and don't be a motherfucker follower into damnation, following a demon, aka a real legion. So for the most part, you want to be your own spirit and expand your own space so you have your own surrounding, your own circumstance, and therefore that's when the universe could work with you. That's when God could work for you. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, overall, when I say God, that's an overall space, an overall spirit. Now, a lot of times, a lot of y'all don't get there. What y'all be calling God and things of that nature be a spirit that's in a shape and form that like to be in a position. So therefore, that's a demon. But the God I be talking about don't give a fuck about no shape and form. And in those spaces, you bring too many shapes and forms. Your monkey ass start to bring too many lights, too many thought forms and feelings and emotions and languages and shit like that. Your ass might just get dissipated. Or whatever whatever the word is called, the highest magnitude of being destroyed, aka don't be bringing some shit that can expire way up there. And you got to be a strong spirit, and I hate to say up there, but just expand it that far. And you got to be a strong spirit to even bring an imagination within that space. A lot of y'all spirits following demons that's in other lights, and when y'all get influenced by that fluid, that emotion, that light, that thought form, it make y'all feel spiritually damned. So for the most part, in the esoteric realm, y'all travel elsewhere. Y'all don't travel to the true space. Y'all travel with those feelings and vibes and frequency vibrations. And y'all be thinking y'all traveling in the right place. And then that builds frustration, because the demon that you be following always make you feel like you could never do right. It always make you feel like you could never be good enough. It always make you feel like you have to keep praising. You have to keep praying. And then you don't even know you're even going where this motherfucker demon is telling you that you're going. But it do tell you where you're going. You're going somewhere in forever light, forever pleasure. But if you was to read the beginning of your Bible, right, ain't that's how Lucifer fell? Being lost in light and forever pleasure. So you want to go to that world? You see what I'm saying? And then when we start to talk about what's real and what's not and things of that nature, see, this is where atheists may fall short. You got to have spirituality, you know what I'm saying, in order to understand or have imagination. Otherwise, all your knowledge or wisdom is going to come from someone who does have imagination. And you ain't going to never be no great philosopher or anybody. You just going to be a person that's really highly religious. But you're claiming you're an atheist, but all your science is to disagree with someone who's religious. So you're religious also, you're just on the opposite end. So for the most part, I told y'all to look at the Trinity for everything, right? You look at the masculine and the feminine, or there's two sides of something, but both sides of something is always springed from a true space, an essence. And when you add that three energy to a space, you always see the essence out of something. You know what I'm saying? And but when you talk about a religious person and an atheist person, they're both frustrated. Which brings us back to the theme of this video. You know what I'm saying? One person is frustrated of trying to prove it's not a God, and the other person is frustrated trying to prove there is a God. And then they both motherfucking lost because y'all both arguing over a demon. You see what I'm saying? Because demons love being called God. But if your ass was to truly come across a spirit, and the spirit that I like to call God just for the sake of me being lost in this realm of reality, and how much energy and frequency vibration that word carry, that I have to use that word for y'all to understand a high vibration down here. But that spirit don't even know what that term God is. It doesn't even represent a form of positioning or authority or looking over anybody for it to even manifest into circumstances where you have an idea to call it a God. This kind of spirit is going to be your best friend. This kind of ancestor is going to make you feel like it's just like you. This kind of spirit, this kind of God, we go for lack of words, this is not a demon. This kind of God is not going to make you feel guilty about the wrong things that you do. But it's also not going to let you go too far into that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be like, yeah, you got desires, but learn how to do things in moderation. It ain't going to tell you that, yeah, you got desires, you need to learn how to cancel that shit in general. It's not going to do that. And it's not going to look down on you. And it's not going to make you feel like you need to worship and praise. Worship. Go to war on a spaceship and with a defense system to clash against another demon and their legion and shit like that. That's why it's always multiple gods. But then when you get into a religion, they just worship one of those demons. They worship one of those spirits. They worship one of those gods and one of those gods' testimonies. That's why you got a lot of different denominations, because each demon, each spirit got a different way of looking at the world. And each spirit that walked into a body that's no longer in this realm of reality from 2,000 years ago, they probably have walked in so many different bodies and been in so many of their descendants and shit like that, and became so many ancestors so many times, they spirit too big to come back into this realm of reality. So now they have to play out things in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, and they don't want to pass on. So they make legions, aka a bunch of mini spirits in shapes and forms, mimicking them to go follow them, aka live through them, so they can be big beings and be most popular in the realm of reality that they are at the moment. When you start to feel like you know yourself and you got courage and you can get attention and you can push off, that's what I just explained. That's what you're doing within your body. And all the spirits that followed you here, right, it's the spirits that's taking your lesser vehicles. So when y'all all on the same accord, y'all all gonna feel good and things of that nature. So when you feel like I'm the shit, I could do this, that, and the third, that's basically what I'm explaining of the being that you live in at the moment. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, don't motherfucking get lost into any goddamn spectrum in this motherfucking, and know what the fuck that you're following, and know that you are following if you're lost into any denomination and things of that nature. But I hate to, spook people out that's new to my channel and things of that nature, because I'm not trying to take you away from anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not trying to have you frustrated. And I just broke down like 3 to 4 examples of how you could be frustrated. Relationships and taking too much of the toll. Being in a space you ain't supposed to be in. When you create a spaceship and go into an area that you're not in physically yet, and then you're trying to force that outcome to play out externally, right? So that's that. Being in a space you ain't supposed to be in. Having too many responsibilities. Dealing with your relationships, or following some form of religion, a legion, a spirits. That's for I could go for days. I gotta stop this video though, because I just really took a break between natal readings. I got a whole bunch of natal readings to do. So I kind of took too much on my hands today and shit like that, y'all. So I couldn't even go live. So everybody who's watching this right now, that you like, damn, where my natal reading at? Goddamn it, I'm doing that right now. You gonna get that shit tonight. But I love y'all subconscious community. You know what I'm saying? Soul group, and y'all know I had to take a little quick break real quick. Just to drop a little video real quick, because I didn't get a chance to go live. I was on live on IG. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody who requested natal readings, y'all gonna get that tonight also. So flight boss bitch, love y'all, goddamn it.